I am joined today by bignic, who is the developer behind Domina. So thank you for agreeing to talk with us a little bit today, Nick.
Thanks for having me.
And to start off, why don't you give us a pitch for Domina for people that haven't heard about the game?
Well, it's a pixel art gladiator management sim with Twitch integration and a big beefy soundtrack.
Yeah, the soundtrack is great. A lot of people probably know you from your musical work, but I'm wondering where the inspiration for Domina came from. It seems like a bit of a change from the other games you've worked on, with a historical focus. So I'm wondering if there's kind of any stories behind why you started working on a gladiator simulator.
It's pretty simple. I'm a huge fan of Spartacus, and I was watching Spartacus one day, and I thought, what if I could be Lucy Lawless in like a Pokemon version of Spartacus? What would that game be like? And this is kind of what I came up with.
Yeah, cool. So one of the things that really surprised me when I started playing the game and getting stuck into the random nature of all the different slaves you're getting and the outfitting of people is how you've handled player input. For those who haven't played the game, there is an upgrade you can research from your Doctore called Mind Control, which gives you control over one of the gladiators in these fights. Was that something that was always in the game, or was it something that was added later? And why did you choose to give players control in that way?
Well, yeah, originally I didn't really have a solid idea. Originally, I thought it's mostly going to be AI, and I thought, well, it'd be nice if you could control it. But people, assumed that you would be able to, and a lot of the time when we played the alpha, when people found out that you couldn't, it was off-putting and kind of jarring. And there's no real reason why they couldn't, so I added it in. But I wanted it to be like you have to unlock one of the other ones first, so that you know that it is possible to play the game, and it should be possible to even win the game without ever actually directly controlling a guy.
Yeah, it's funny. I actually didn't expect that at all. My understanding of the game was that it was a kind of a hands-off. You let the gladiators be played by AI. So it was interesting to see that it's optional in many ways. As you said, you don't have to ever research that tech unlock, so to speak. The other thing that really surprised me about Domina is the level of customization and control you have over all these different gladiators. And in many ways, the randomness of it, in that, you're presented with the two gladiators at the beginning that have random outfits, and as you get more and more people, it's kind of, you don't have a lot of control over how they start, but you have incredible control of where they end up. What kind of challenges did you run into in giving people this level of control?
Well, like originally we had there was a whole inventory system, and you could outfit them basically however you wanted. And the problem with that was it was just wasn't fun. There was just endless user interfaces of just okay, I got to drag this over, I got to add this piece, and it's like I'm spending all this time looking for equipment and trying to outfit it when really, if I wanted to implement a class system, which I did originally, but I kind of threw it away when I had this inventory system. But then I thought, well, I'll bring the class system back, and I'll just give the user basically one, they can upgrade or they can downgrade, because that's really all you care about. Is if you're looking through a UI of your inventory, you say, well, is this weapon better than what I've got? If it's better, then I'll put it on. If not, I'll leave it out. So I just wanted to distill all that stuff down and just make it quick, because I didn't want it. It's like I said, it just wasn't fun. And I thought, if there's an aspect of the game that's not fun, why is it in a computer game? Like, it should be fun. So
That's a good point. So turning from Domina to your background, like we said, you've got a background in other games, Corporate Life Simulator, as well as a musical background. But what was kind of the driving force that got you interested in going into independent game design?
I don't know. I quit my job last year, so it was. This is the only other thing I know how to do, so I might as well try to do it really well.
What was it that got you interested in designing games in the beginning?
Well, like with Corporate Lifestyle Simulator, it was. I don't want to say like like therapeutic, but it really was. I mean, I'm not a violent person at all, and I worked in a government office for 10 years, and it was just the most awful workspace for me. It's not a good place for a creative person. So I had to find an outlet for that. And when I started making, this little game, I was just playing around in processing with Java, and I thought, I could make a little game out of this, just smashing up the office. And when I realized just how fun that was and just how much like there was a part of me that needed to do that, so I built this game around being able to smash everything and just hearing the glass shattering and like seeing all this particles, just splashing around. And it was just something really immensely satisfying about that. So I thought, this is this is a lot better than working on databases for a living. So.
What games have served as inspiration for you? Have you been a gamer for a long time? And what games were kind of like seminal to you if you were growing up, or more recently have given you a lot of inspiration?
I think there's two for this particular project. A long time ago, I don't know, I'm not sure how old you are, but if you remember bulletin board systems, there was a game that was pretty popular on BBSs around here called Legend of the Red Dragon. And I spent a lot of time on that, and it was a formative gaming experience for me because it was you had to dial in. If somebody called your house, your game would be interrupted. You might not be able to call back in. It was so every choice was like this, life or death. It was every choice you made was really important because you only had a certain number of choices and you only could be online for a few minutes at a time. So that really got to me. And also lately, like I played a lot of FTL, and I like the idea of the game. I love the pacing of the game, but I hate the RNG in that game because it's so like it's so dependent on RNG to have a good run. So I thought, if I can mimic the sort of pacing that it has, but actually instead of having just RNG, have the events have some sort of meaning, so that me personally, I like to, if I'm going to make a choice in an event, it should have an ethical component to it, so that if I make the ethical decision, I want to win, and if I make the unethical decision, I want to be punished. Maybe not right away, but later on, it should come back to bite me in the ass. So that's just how I sort of design it. Like, there's still a lot of RNG in Domina, but I like to think it's tempered by the fact that your choices generally are rewarded if they're ethical.
Yeah, it certainly seems that way with the kind of the out of gladiatory arena choices you're making. It's pretty obvious what's moral and what's not, and it seems like you've captured that.
Yeah.
Finally, we always like to ask developers what other projects out there that other development teams or people are working on that they've seen have really captured their attention. Are there any projects out there right now that you think are doing something really cool that you think people might not have heard of?
I don't know. I mean, it's Twitter. Get on Twitter. There's hundreds of them. There's one that I just saw, I think yesterday, 2 days ago, called Pato Box. It's a Mexican game. I don't understand anything of what they're saying in their Kickstarter or anything, but it basically looks like, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, but you're a duck head on a man body, which, hey, okay, looks like fun.
Awesome.
There's another one too, Megasphere by Anton Kudin, I think is his name. And just the pixel art in that guy's game it's on a whole other level. And the work that he's doing with shaders and stuff like that is just, it's mind-blowing. It's making me look bad.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing those. And thank you, bignic, for sharing a little bit of backstory on Domina and a little bit of a peek into your design process of the game. Domina will be out on Steam on April 3rd.
Go buy it. Wish list it now. Thanks for having me.